Today I'm going to do my third video on Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and today I'm going to focus on the history of the area. On October 10th, 1774, the battle for Point Pleasant was fought by the Virginia militia and the Shawnee Indians, who were led by Chief Cornstalk. The militia won, preserving their right to settle in the area. Chief Cornstalk was killed and buried nearby where a monument stands erect today. The Shawnee Indians and Chief Cornstalk had been going around different areas of Appalachia killing white settlers, and they actually killed my mother's ancestors, which were the Yocums and the C families, along Muddy Creek in what was known as the Muddy Creek Massacre. And then the following day, they killed my father's ancestors at Carr's Creek, which were the Cunninghams and other relation to them. So to say I'm not a fan of Cornstalk is an understatement. Nevertheless, he is regarded highly by many, still to this day. Forts Blair and Randolph occupied the site. A home known as the Mansion House still stands near Cornstalk's resting place. The Log House was a tavern, built in 1796. It was restored in 1901 by the Daughters of the American Revolution. The Battle of Point Pleasant is considered the first battle of the Revolutionary War, so many things have been preserved because of that. Other key figures around this time include General Andrew Lewis, who served as one of George Washington's officers in the Virginia Regiment, and most famous victory was at the Battle of Point Pleasant, where he secured his military reputation. Lord Dunmore was the British Royal Governor of Virginia. The conflict known as Lord Dunmore's War was a dispute of the control of land south of the Ohio River. At the end of the French and Indian War, the British claimed control of the land, which infuriated the Indians, who refused to give up their hunting grounds. Indians attacked white settlers in Kentucky County, Virginia, and they captured and killed Daniel Boone's son, James. For several more years, Indian raiding parties killed settlers and captured women and children as slaves. Once fighting had begun along the Ohio River, Lord Dunmore planned to march into the Ohio Valley and force the Indians to accept the Ohio River boundary that had been established prior. He realized this provided him a golden opportunity to also open up land to expand the Virginia colonies. 2,400 men in the Virginia militia advanced towards the Ohio River. 1,700 were under Lord Dunmore's command, and 800, which eventually ended up being about 1,000 or 1,100 because more had joined up, they were under Lewis's command. Dunmore commanded Lewis to cross the Ohio River, where they would meet up at the Shawnee towns. This is how Lord Dunmore's war began. After the murder of Daniel Boone's son, Lord Dunmore sent a message asking Boone and another man to rescue surveyors who were believed to be in danger in the wilderness of Kentucky. The men made the trip and rescued the surveyors. They had traveled a total of 800 miles on foot. Boone was then made captain and appointed to 3 garrisons on the frontier. The campaign finally ended with the Battle of Point Pleasant, and afterwards Boone returned home to his family. Next, we have Mad Ann Bailey, who worked as a frontier scout and messenger during the Revolutionary War. Her husband, Richard Trotter, who was in the Virginia militia, died at the Battle of Point Pleasant. Hearing of her husband's death, Anne set out on horseback to avenge him. She rode from one recruiting station to the next, to convince others to join the militia. She was considered a very brave and eccentric woman. Shawnee Indians feared her after she escaped them and broke into their camp to take back her horse that they had stolen. In 1791, it is said she single-handedly saved Fort Lee, now known as Charleston, West Virginia. She rode there to replenish gunpowder as they were under attack from Indians. When her second husband, John Bailey, died, she continued to travel all over. She could be seen riding from Point Pleasant to Lewisburg and Staunton, carrying mail. Point Pleasant economy during the 19th century was dominated by boat building and river transportation. A boat construction company called the Marietta Manufacturing Company remained in operation from 1916 to 1967. That same year, on December 15, 1967, is when the tragedy of the Silver Bridge collapse happened, killing 46 people. The population in Point Pleasant grew between the 1800s and 1970, when its peak population was 6,122 residents. Since then, there has been a decline in population. In 2020, there were 4,101 residents, the lowest since the 1940s. Now, Point Pleasant is made up of 4 banks, a hospital, a hotel, a few schools, 2 parks, and a library. Tourism has increased in recent years due to the famous Mothman stories. In 1985, the Point Pleasant Historic District was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope this video shed some insight on the history of Point Pleasant. Please like, share, and subscribe for notifications to future content. As always, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks.